All right. We are going to get started in a minute here. All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome in to a very different broadcast, something that maybe we haven't done. Well, we've done it once, but we're really excited to be here with you tonight, both in this Google call and, of course, on YouTube, streaming live, Twitter, wherever you want to watch it. What's up to everybody who has joined us tonight? Very excited to talk a little bit about the ShotQuality Bet site, what has been made and released in the last 2.5, 3 weeks from the group who has been working, honestly, pretty hard to create some of these new tools. What tonight's going to be about is a little bit of just a walkthrough, talking about each of the pages, the new pages, the updates to the old pages, everything you might need to know, anything you might have had questions about. We're going to stop after each page is talked about briefly to answer any questions that you might have. You can leave those in the YouTube channel. You can leave those. We're going to take questions in our Google chat. And if you would like to be in the Google chat, you can leave a comment on Twitter, on Gmail, and our guy Alec here is going to take care of you. Alec is a big part of the team. Really appreciate him getting this all together with me today. So without much further ado, let's just get it started. Talk a little bit about what we see when we get to the ShotQuality Bet website, how most people use the site, and maybe a little bit about some of these new tools. So if you have already, been a member, well, first of all, let's preface this with saying thank you all to everyone who's come out to watch this, whether it's in the replay, live, right now. We're going to have free giveaways entering. Well, let me try to speak properly. Anyone who comes into this chat today, anyone who watches this is going to be able to fill out a form and enter for a chance to get a free sub for a month, as well as every single person who does submit their feedback will get a coupon for a reduced price on their next purchase from us at ShotQuality Bets. We just appreciate you being here so much. It helps us make better betting tools. So let's get into it. The Value Finder is our first destination today. The Value Finder is a pretty straightforward tool. If you have been using ShotQuality Bets, there's a very high likelihood this is the page that you come to visit first. I know it's one of the things that I check every day. And if you haven't gone to the page yet today, or it's your first time seeing it, you might be noticing this brand new nice little dashboard that we have added just today. This has not even been on the site for more than 5 hours. Our brand new record straight on the page, so you can see how the model has done on the season and, of course, how it did the day before. We're going to get into what exactly happens when you click this, but you can go on the site and check it out yourself while I'm doing it. But let's talk a little bit about what we see when we get to the Value Finder. What it is at a very basic level is really just our model. This is the ShotQuality Bets model. This is the output for the system that has won this many units on that many plays. And we'll talk a little bit about just how many plays there are and how to deal with that too. But something that's really interesting about how this works is it lets you scroll through every single game. Not just the games that we have bets on, not just the games that you might be thinking, okay, we're recommending a play, but you get to see how the ShotQuality Bets model looks at every single game of the day. And even if you're lucky, we start populating the next day too. So every single game that you can currently get a line on will show up here. And it will prompt the model to run its simulation based on the games that are coming up. And please excuse my weird Safari error. I've yet to understand why my browser specifically does not show some logos. It works on the site for most other people. It's probably just because I use the site too much. It's gotten angry at me. I literally live on this site, guys. It's pretty bad. But what that means is I can help you all understand how to use this page. Essentially, what we have done is just kind of make this page a little bit easier than it was before, at least in years past. This page was on the site for last season, but we've updated the design. We've added a few key things. And of course, the most important of which we think is just being able to sort by points of value. This helps you find the plays. So the way that the ShotQuality bets model works, and there is sometimes some confusion around this, so I just want to clear it up, is that we look for 4 points of value on a side, which means that if you want to play a spread, the ShotQuality bets model is going to look for anywhere it has 4 points. But given totals, take both teams tangoing here, if you will, we ask the model to look for 5 points of value. So if you scroll down here, you can see the 4 points of value on the model for totals, not recommended. So that's a little bit of a back-tested bit of data that we have ourselves dug through the model past years to find out, okay, where does it actually start to become predictive? Well, totals really need that extra point. They do have a little bit more variance within them. You kind of want that little bit of extra cushion. But essentially what we're doing here is we use the model that was created by our good friend Big 3 for 3, refined using ShotQuality bets data to essentially model every single game based on their expected score. So what does that mean? Why is that different? Who cares, right? Why do I care about this versus KenPom? Well, KenPom, the efficiency models, all of those great models that honestly have helped shape analytics in college basketball, they all take into account what is going on the floor. If a terrible shot goes in, that impacts your efficiency, right? It just does. That's how many points you've scored. It's how many points you get per shot you take. Well, ShotQuality tries to not be as reactive because obviously there are good shots that don't go in and there are bad shots that do. And we need to quantify that in order to properly understand how teams are playing on the court rather than just, a team got hot, so they look really good, and I'm going to take them next time. You're going to fall into that trap if you just look at box scores. It happens. It happens to all of us. I've lost plenty of bets that way. A team plays really well. I'm like, they might actually be better than they are, better than they thought they were, and then, of course, they fall back down to earth. Well, ShotQuality's model tries to ignore some of that noise. We model the score to the expected shot quality score. So based on what teams have already done in terms of developing shots, that's what our model projects to. So that's how we can have 13.8 points of value. That's how we can have 5 to 6 games with 9 points of value on unders here. We just expect the game to be played as we project it rather than trying to fit it to what is going on the court. We do not overreact. The model can be sometimes a little bit slow to react, right? If a team starts picking up, starts playing better all of a sudden, the ShotQuality model is going to really want to see some hard proof, essentially, that they're getting good looks and not just getting lucky. And that's what we try to do. We try to bring a different type of view to college basketball betting. So that's the Value Finder. Again, this is a pretty straightforward tool. Some of the features on it right now are being able to export the entire bit of data to the CSV, and only those on the Google Sheet, on the Google Meet, are going to be able to see it pop up. If you're on YouTube, it does not share my whole screen, just the one internet browser. But on the Google call, you can see what it's like to download this sheet. You get every single projection for the day, total and line, all, pretty organizable. We know that we probably need to make this sheet a little bit better. Frozen first column on 5 dimes isn't exactly what we'd like, but it's all here. You can maneuver this data very, very easily, move columns around. It's the same format every day, and this goes all the way into tomorrow. So you have a lot of games here. And again, this is being shown in our Google chat. If you'd like to be added to that, where you can just pop on in just a second, I'm going to open up the floor for our first round of questions. That's where you can join us and see everything. But another big thing here is that we have the books, right? So these are some of the most respected lines makers in the world, some of the biggest volume bet handles in the world, or I guess line. I don't know. I can't speak tonight, guys. I'm sorry. This is a tough day for me to be doing this, but these are the books that are revered as the sharpest. They have the sharpest lines. They take the most action. They don't have limits. They put the lines out earliest. I mean, we love FanDuel, DraftKings. We're going to get those all on the site. But some of those lines are not open on FanDuel right now. And some of the sharpest bettors, some of our clients, some of you out there might even be betting already on openers that aren't on the legal books. These are bookmakers. We're not necessarily linking you to go bet offshore, but they are, expected to be the, I guess, premier lines makers. So that's kind of the value finder in a nutshell. I don't want to spend too long on any one page, but this one kind of deserves it because it is our hub. This is what you get when you sign up for the standard subscription. This is what you pay $20 a week for every single play, 55%, 137 units up this season. And that is a big ask given how many plays there are. But at the other end, this is just so reliable at this point, thousands and thousands of plays and just still winning. So what are you going to do? But hey, if you have a question, please, if you're either in the YouTube, just type it in, or if if you're in the video chat here, raise your hand and we'll pull you up and unmute you and you can ask questions and I'll repeat them out for the stream. Let's see. Anyone want to chat about this one? Cool. No pressure. Yeah, Alec will handle it. He can always jump in and read them. You can type in the chat. But if you're just here to watch and sort of learn, you know what? Let's just ride, man. I mean, I got to probably check some scores in a second. Maybe we'll do some live sweating of a few shot quality bets that I placed tonight. A couple of them on the podcast. If you haven't watched the podcast and you're here on YouTube, definitely subscribe. But in the meantime, let's jump forward into one of our new pages, right? So I told you we're going to talk a little bit about this cool, brand spanking new, literally, again, hasn't been on the site for more than 5 hours. This new record dashboard that comes on the Value Finder page. Anybody can see it, which means you don't even need to be a member to go check out our record. So what happens is that you come here, you click on the record, you're going to be brought to our brand new model results page. And this is something we're really proud of because one of the biggest bits of feedback that I've heard that even I ask for when I get information from someone is I want to see all that past data, right? I want to know what you've been doing. I want to have that transparency. I don't want to feel like I can't see your history, especially in gambling when there are plenty of people who don't show you their losses and try to embellish wins. I mean, it is crucial for a model like ours with a record like we do have and putting this out there every single day. We want to have the utmost transparency. Excuse me. So what did we do? We built the model results page, and I'm really proud of this because I think it is setting the standard. You have every single day. You can choose any day you want. You can go through it, has the full record. It updates every single morning at 8 a.m. So when essentially it also then grabs lines that are equivalent to the lines that we send out every morning. So if you are a member, you get daily emails with essentially everything that's on the Value Finder. You don't even have to visit the site. But essentially what we do in order to be as fair as possible is we lock in our bets for this model results page at the same time that we send that email so that if lines move, we just have a basis, all right? We send the plays at 8 a.m. The lines are what they are at 8 a.m. We're looking into trying to maybe add a few more times during the day where we might be able to track the line from. But let's go and look into what you get with this model results page. Again, this is fully available for anybody. If you're thinking about getting shot quality bets, if you're thinking about the model, something that you're going to see here is just you can just use this URL, right? Model results, shotqualitybets.com/model-results. Easy. And you can see some of the silly stuff that I like to use, like Haslametrics. Shout out to Eric Haslam. Great competitor. A little different though, right? One of those efficiency models. Has some expected stuff. Look, we love the analytics community here, so give credit where credit's due. But anyway, what this page is really nice for is seeing the plays the model had. So spreads, totals, they're all here, right? So if you're like, oh, okay, how did the model do? How does the model do on like Iona? All right, so you can quickly find that. Maybe you want to keep going back and keep seeing if there's Iona games. Okay, none on Wednesday. Like this is all now like right here for you. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. There's a question. Here's the first question. Cool. Thank you so much. Are the lines updated if players are listed out? For example, tonight, the Wyoming game. Great question. The answer is no, they are not. Our system currently is a team-based system, so that does not account for player injuries. Updates like that do not get reflected, so that is a really important part. A lot of models are a little bit like that. Like, you're not necessarily going to go see most of the predictive models out there, those competitors I'm talking about, the Haslas, the KenPoms. It's definitely very hard, especially in college. If you know anything about how annoying the injury situation can be in college basketball, it is something that we are working towards having in terms of our model being not just a team-based model, but having some ability to work in player-based simulations. It's something that is in the works. If you're here listening, look, that's a little bit of a sneak preview. We do want to have that capability. It is something that is coming down the line, but the answer right now, for your information in terms of using our tool properly, is no. So the Wyoming game would not have shifted tonight. We still rate them as they would be full strength. As the quality of their play changes, that's what would adjust. Like if they get worse because those players aren't out there, that's what would cause an adjustment in our rankings, because the quality of their shots would be lower. All right, let's keep talking a little bit about the model results page. Obviously, you can go between all totals and spreads. You can sort by like the points of value, looks like you can't really sort by it yet. The sorts don't look to be working just yet. We'll make sure those get working this week. But some sorts are working. The important thing here is that you can, look at that, hit all the low overs on this random January the 11th Wednesday. Struggled a little bit here with these higher totals. And then, wow. Yeah, this was one of our rougher days. Yeah, 19 and 27 last Wednesday, not too pretty. But, look, you can just see how it bounced back the next day, 7 and 2. Just easily get a sense of how the system's doing. When it's running hot, maybe it's been cold on a certain type of bet. It's all here now, right? That's the biggest thing. Like we'll continue to add ways for you to dive into the data. Eventually there will be an export CSV button here so that you can see the past data day by day and profile it yourselves. But we just want to create the most transparency possible in regards to getting betting information and understanding what we are giving you as access to our data. And that's what we're here to do, right? We sell access to the data. We want you all to have full looks at how it works before you purchase, in order to evaluate, in order to see, okay, these people aren't messing around. They're showing me the bets that they're placing, the bets their system's recommending, and they have every single one cataloged. And that's the goal, to, be as transparent and as open with our information as we can be. All right. Please, if you have questions, drop them in the chat, drop them on the YouTube chat. Alec, if you are here, I know you're here, but just make sure you're monitoring the YouTube for me as well. Can you select multiple dates? John asks in the Google Meet. You cannot right now. And again, this is just a day-by-day look. What we're going to have is the option to export all the data. So you could literally get all, 2,600 plays or so now that we're almost at through the first almost 100 days, halfway through the season. So you'll be able to get them into a CSV, hopefully by the end of this month, and then that'll all be profilable. Is there a way to tier points of value so that you can get a strength of play? This is a really, really good question. And I think something that just deserves some talking about with the model really quick. We use our system in a very, standard way, in the sense that we don't necessarily want to tell anyone that a bigger edge means a bigger play. And I think we need to stand and face the music, because something that happened last year was that this model did extremely well when it surpassed 8 points of value. I believe we won around 85 units last season for the whole season. And 60 or so of those were on plays of 8+. And this is a gambling tale as old as time, right? We got excited about it. We knew that, okay, this is great. People are going to be excited. But what's happened this year, I think through the beginning of January, or I think last week, I was the last time I checked, but of this 137 units that you've seen, about 110 of them have come from plays below 8. So it's just sometimes it feels like you're chasing a greased pig a little bit, right? You're chasing after something that's just going to keep slipping away. every single play in the shot quality bets recommended column is equally revered by the model. That is how it was designed. Straight from the person who designed it. It is called a directional system. It does not necessarily claim to predict the score exactly correct, but it claims that when it does have a disagreement, that it is more often right. We don't care if we get it right. We care if we win the bet, right? And that's how it works for all of you out there. You don't care if our system hits the number on the head, unless maybe you're betting final scores, and good luck to you. But I mean, those are some pretty nice 280 to 1 odds, but which you can get, but that's near impossible. What really matters here is that when we say that we have a disagreement of 4 points for spreads or 5 points or more for totals, that it hits at around 55%. And look, we're going to talk about this. It's something that's going to be in the questionnaire that you're all going to get later today. So something to think about if you are hanging out with us, watching it later. I don't know how you're enjoying this. If you're on Twitter, what's up? I might need to take a scores break. I'm like itching to know how my bets are doing. You're seeing the degeneracy live, but we are, yeah, sure. No. We'll do a live. We'll do this a live sweat check in 2 minutes, Alec. I appreciate you. I'm just, so trained to just watch college basketball. Oh wow, it is early. It is definitely early. That is a big lead though. That's a big lead. All right. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about. I think maybe my mic has been a little too loud. Sorry about that if that's the case. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other pages. Unless anyone has any questions, Alec, I'm trusting on you to let me know. But he's literally in my ear if you're on YouTube. The whole Google chat is. So I'm feeling like I'm in a studio today. It's kind of fun, but let's talk a little bit about another. Hit me. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So for everybody who isn't in the Google, the question was, how much do you think a star player would move a margin? We saw today, I believe, like if you use the Wyoming game, for example, it moved to like, we had like 2.5, or I think it was 3.5 yesterday. It went down to 2.5. And then the news came out about the illnesses and it went to 4.5. So that should give you a pretty good idea. It isn't going to be ever more than like 3. 3 would be a lot. 3 would have to be for like a distinctly important player. And that would necessarily only come on like personal evaluation. If you talk to any expert, they're probably going to tell you it would never be 3. But like I've found instances where I believe that a player can be worth 3 points if it's like, the only big man that a team has in order to stop the other team's, dominant front court. Sure. Could they be worth a lot? Could they cause the whole team to collapse? Yes. But in terms of how standard efficiency models and our model would probably react, I would imagine it would be about 2 points, 3 points for some of the better players on average. But again, it really is team by team, especially in college. If Zach Edey goes out, how much is that worth? Probably a lot. It is a lot more individual than, like, let's say NBA, where the next man up is still a professional basketball player. College, the drop-off can be pretty severe. So you really need to evaluate it based on who's coming up, how much experience they have. It's just, in general, try to stay away from games that have a lot of guys injured unless you're like fading the team that has injuries. But like even then, like we didn't even see, I don't even know if the Butler game moved. Let me see. That might have started, so I don't think I can see but like they had a bunch of injuries out, and I don't think the line like drastically shifted. So always interested to see how that goes. Injuries in college basketball are something that we definitely wish we had a lot more information on. I'll give a shout out to a friend of ShotQuality. Jordan Majewski does an incredible job at consolidating injury data in a centralized place. So if you're looking for a good follow, that's a great one. On Twitter, you can definitely find him pretty easily. I follow him as well. It's like, I think I have his tweet notifications on. It's just like every single important roster move. It's like you got to follow him. But anyway, let's move on to just a really quick overview of the team stats page. This is also available with your standard subscription. Pretty straightforward. Just some of our favorite, most important metrics. Gives you a couple years back for every year that ShotQuality has been tracking these things. It is our 4th season doing so. Still look, you guys are all here early. Still very early in terms of ShotQuality's adoption into basketball as a whole. But what this allows you to do is see some of the biggest stats. They're total adjusted shot quality is the combination. Offense, defense, you know, we can check it out. Like Alabama's offense is second in the nation, but their 40th defense is what keeps them at sixth, right? Rim and three rate, pretty straightforward. All this stuff is defined right here. Percent of possessions that resulted in a three-pointer or shot at the rim, the two most valued shots. It's true. You can see their record, how ShotQuality thinks their record should be, their win percentage, their shot quality win percentage, and then a record luck is a percent difference in expected versus actual win percentage. So essentially saying, okay, UNC Asheville, we expect that they're 12-5, we expect 6-11. So they've gotten pretty lucky. Might be a pretty good team to fade. Asheville, 12-5 and 288th in adjusted shot quality. Pretty interesting to see. But those are the types of insights you can derive pretty quickly from this data. We're going to get into some of the premium tools now. So what you've seen has been mostly the standard tools that come with the $19.99 a week subscription, which you can access, you know, by going to your profile settings, upgrading your plan after you've logged in, and selecting your weekly subscription. What's up, Mr. Katz? But yeah, let's talk a little bit about some premium tools. We're going to actually hit it off with the new one, the one that we all want to talk about, because I know not too many people want to hang out for more than half an hour anyway. Let's just keep it real. But Model Sandbox, man, this is something that has been being worked. Like when I first met with Simon, who is the founder and CEO of ShotQuality Bets, who has made this all possible. We met for a beer downtown in New York, and we're talking about the potential of me taking this position. And this tool was talked about distinctly. And this was what got me so excited. The ability for anybody to come and use ShotQuality Bets metrics to create a custom model. And I'm very excited to hear questions about this, very excited to hear feedback about this. Please be as brutal as possible. We want to make it as cool as possible. But let me show you how it works. So essentially you can choose between any of these 100+ ratings, 22 opponent stats, 21 team SQ stats, 26 box score stats for opponent and team. So like, all right, let's say you want to know, we'll zoom in here a little for everyone's sake. Let's say you want to get in on team average points. You want to know your offensive rating, the pace, maybe the field goal attempts allowed. If they allow less field goals, they should win, right? Opponent pace, so how much they allow their opponents to run, their opponent's 3-point made. And then you just want to take the core 6 SQ ratings. And I will give you all a tip. With the Model Sandbox, you probably want to use all 6 of these every single time. They are going to be the most predictive metrics. So you get here, you've selected some cool stuff. All right, now what the heck's going to happen? This is maybe the most important part, right? You need to understand what the heck is a tool's doing before you can use it properly. So let me try to explain it the best I can without totally choking. Let me see if I have any water. I don't. Really great preparation on my end. But what matters here, all right, is that when you select these parameters, what the ShotQuality Bets Model Sandbox does is it takes those parameters and it essentially assigns coefficients and fits the coefficient data, like weights the importance of these 12 selected parameters to linearly fit and regress the fit to all of the data from this year's past games. So tries to find the most predictive combination of the metrics that you've selected and then takes that, I guess, custom blend that was, again, the best at predicting final scores and essentially being accurate, and then projects them forward. So what happens is that within a couple seconds, you get your model projections. And instantly it tells you how it would have done if you had bet every single game that it'd have 4 points or more on. And if you think the ShotQuality Bets model bets a lot, this one is almost at 4,000 plays. So, you know, there is obviously going to be a lot of games that can fall into these things, but what we have done is given you the option to easily change it to 6 points of value, and you can see how the ROI shifts. So really not much, right? So you're essentially not winning any more by going to 6. And then when you go to 8, it jumps a little bit. So if you'd only taken the 8.1s based on this projection combination, you would be expected to have this record. And so you can go down now and you can see the plays that fall into this. Let's see if there are any on the list here for tomorrow. This model is recommending these 4 plays. All right. It likes the Marquette Providence over by 9.5 points. It likes the Seton Hall Connecticut over. It likes the Texas A&M Florida over, and it likes the Army Bucknell over. But maybe you're not so sold. Maybe you want to know, okay, how is this thing done on overs specifically? You can go to this betting records page. It expands it out and it shows you, all right, 276 and 123 on overs. So pretty dang good. You know, what we have seen from the results of this model sandbox is that it is very good at fitting to totals, usually struggles with favorites. And I think that's a tale as old as time. It is hard to bet favorites. Markets are usually shaded towards favorites. So the data isn't very surprising there. Has a little bit of a tougher time producing bets on unders, obviously chooses a lot of favorites, but all of this data is here, and in future versions, we will be adding more and more profilability, full data records, so you can download everything from your custom model to dive in deeper. And if you have used it already, something that we heard and we understood, and we are honestly like, how did that get through us? But something that was happening with the model sandbox is like, let's say you went and visited another page and you're like, oh, actually, I want to go back to my model sandbox. Well, we fixed it. We made sure that it remembers your model. If you've already created a model on the website, you no longer have to re-enter it. And when you go back to change your selection, it even remembers the ones you've already put in. So now if you want to say, okay, well, what happens if I add team cut? Right? What I can rerun my model. I can see if that goes higher. Look at that. Now we're at 11. So the team cut helped it get more predictive. So now with this new update that we brought to the model, you can be more and more selective. Look at this. We're inching up to 12.89. And when we released this tool and we wrote the thread on Twitter, and I wrote the thread on Twitter, hello. But you know, something that I made sure to mention, and then I want to mention here again, is that this is a brand new cutting edge tool. This thing has never been operated before. I would treat it as though you are like playing with like uranium, right? Like if you hold on to it too hard and it could burn you, right? Like this thing is not that we just have essentially created it. We want people to go out and learn how to use it, not necessarily like, you know, put their life savings into a model projection tool that, you know, they whipped up in 5 seconds, right? You need to make sure that you keep your risk commensurate with your understanding of how the tool works. I have started tracking a few models myself. I'm going to give them a couple days, a couple weeks to really see if these rates come in and slowly start betting on them. I think that is, if as someone who literally sat here and created this thing, that is my biggest word of advice. These are beautiful numbers. If we can return 12.89% return on investment here, I'll be on a boat next time we're doing these damned presentations. But, you know, again, tread cautiously, track bets, analyze bets, learn how these models that you custom create work, maybe on certain teams. You know, maybe you say, okay, well, this Utah Valley team is really good against teams that, you know, don't have pace. So maybe you model around what you know is big for a conference or big for a way a team plays. That's how I would use this tool. And slowly learning how to, I guess, acquiesce information from its outputs is going to be a lot more profitable long-term than, you know, just diving right in. And we have a question. Gary, thank you so much for your question, man. Is there a practical number of inputs into a model before you feel like it is overfit? How many is too many inputs into this model? It's a great question. You know, I think the cool thing about the way that the script is written is that this essentially will discard, like, okay, let's say you choose a parameter, right? I don't know. Let's say it's like block percentage or something. I don't know if that's even available. But let's say you choose a parameter that is essentially not predictive. The computer, the system, the script, whatever you want to call it goes in there and it essentially looks into if like moving the coefficient or the strength rating of that metric in the algorithm that you've created, like it finds its optimal weighting. So if you choose something that isn't predictive, it's just not going to listen to it. It's going to find the most predictive metrics, the most predictive combination of the metrics that you chose and output that. And you, what we want to do is eventually we're going to have that displayed. So you'll see, oh, you know, team block percentage. The model Sandbox didn't even need that to get to this. It essentially figured out that was not a predictive metric. We're going to get that type of feedback available in further versions. But essentially right now, what's important to know is that it basically understands which are good and which are bad. So you necessarily can't overfit. It's just going to find the most predictive blend of coefficients for the inputs you give it. I don't know if that answers your question. Please, if you have a further question, feel free to ask. That's a really good one, and we can look at one. So let's say we just load it up. I've done this plenty. I had to test this model Sandbox like a million times, man. I've done that exact thing. You just load it up. All right. The thing about maybe overloading it is that you might end up with a lesser model at this higher threshold, right? Like it might be like almost noisy, right? Like it's getting more plays. Like you almost kind of want to find a model that like picks its spots a little bit and does well at them. And look, 6.99% return on investment is better than what I've done in my entire gambling career. Most of us would be lucky to have those numbers. There's a good chance that people here are losing gamblers. Most people are. I was for quite a while until I learned how to use models like this. Honestly, there's no shame in it. But anyway, Tyler, just to clarify, you are able to name the different models you can create so you track which one is doing well or poorly. Not yet, Tyler. That is definitely something that we know people want. Currently, essentially the way it works is that you have like one living, breathing model on the site at once. So like it remembers the model that you're working on, if you will. Maybe a way to get around that is, maybe have, I don't know how different windows work, so I'm actually not going to advise that. I think a second window would actually act in the same way. But if you want to look at multiple models, you do need to like keep track of what you've used right now. But I will tell you, and I'm happy to tell you this, like by time next season rolls around, you will be able to save models to your profile. Like I'm happy to say that will be here. So I would recommend, with this tool being new, take some time to learn it, use the rest of the season to understand it, and then next season come back, save like 3, 4, 5 models, track them all, see their plays. We're going to have a really, really cool dashboard set up for user profiles around this, something that we know we need to build. But we also, it's a balance, right? We don't want to hold back the tool when it's ready just because it could be better. We're just going to make it better as fast as we can. So no, I really appreciate that question, and it reinforces that we do need to do that, and we will. So thank you, Tyler. All right. If anyone else has any questions about the model Sandbox, this is a really good time. There's a lot here, right? There's a lot here. You get to sort of choose. All right, let's say you only wanted to, and you can search. That search is really nice, actually. Let's say you only wanted to do things that had to do with everything to do with threes. You just literally type in 3. You can click all the different ones, and now we have a full 3% model. I think I've done this. It's not very good. Yeah, it's really bad. And look, when I saw this, that we could actually get a model that loses, that made me believe in it more, right? This isn't just some wonky tool that every single thing you put in starts winning, right? You actually need to make decently intelligent like creations here in order to actually get yourself to a high ROI. And look, it gets worse. It got worse as the threshold went up. And then it drops at 8. So very interesting. You can even look at it. Maybe it's a fade. I don't know. I'd be really interested to see if someone finds a fade. This model is fantastically hilarious. It has risked 2,500 units on unders and has only ever found 4 overs to play. So I would imagine then if we went here and we looked at what this thing was doing on projected totals at 8 points, every single bet's an under. And that's how it would have to be, right? It wouldn't be working if you came here and it said, I recommend an over. It only has, I'd be really interested to see how this Nebraska-Ohio State game does, because this thing really likes its unders. It does have a few games it's pretty predictively accurate on. It likes the Virginia Tech game to be right where it's supposed to be. But, this model, these unders probably are not very predictive, right? There's too many of them. It's just noise. The model was created in a way that it wipes out the total amount of points teams are expected to score. the lines here, there's multiple things with like 20 plus. So it just isn't predictive. That's not to say it can't be correct about something, but you really need to, I guess, learn the ins and outs of a model that you create, and really understand that it is a sandbox. There's no 100% right way, and yeah. But it is modeling on this year's games, which is really cool. So essentially, you're looking back at how it would have done this season. But yeah, don't make an only 3% model, please. Just don't. I think some cool ones that I personally like a lot are pace. Tempo is another one. Those are a little different. I don't know if we actually have tempo, but let's say you just throw pace and the 6 shot quality ratings in, really simple 8. You need to take 8. You need to take 8. But yeah, so you sort of just got to play around with it. What I've done personally in the last couple of weeks is actually just take a few and see if I can get a couple high ROI models to agree with each other, and then watch those plays. And they have been winning more than they've been losing. And so, are they going to get to 9.53 ROI over time? I don't know. That'd be really nice. That's a pretty high percentage. So we'll see how that goes over time. We'll start tracking our favorite models as we get more and more ability to share them. We will. But this is right now. Anybody who signs up for any ShotQuality membership or has the value finder, you can use this tool. So this will be in about 2 weeks. This will go back to being a premium only tool, but for the next 14 days or so, all of our users are invited to try it out, see how it works, test it. We're going to, of course, be looking into ways to get more and more people access to this type of technology. Maybe some type of custom bracket builder. We'll see. March Madness, man, only 8 weeks? It's gonna be great. But but yeah. So this is the model sandbox. This is our new, I guess, most coveted tool. And essentially, my biggest recommendation is to just experiment. You don't learn to be a master at anything just by walking in and pretending that you know what you're doing. I'm not even ready to put like real money behind this tool yet. Gary, another great question. Thank you, man. Again, we love every single question. We're going to be sending out a form at the end. If you have any other questions, you didn't maybe feel like getting on and saying anything, it's okay. But hey, one small question. Is there a threshold for individual sides? More of a general, yeah. So maybe, I think, Gary, you came in a little late. So the shot quality model over here at the value finder, right? And it's loading. Thank you. The shot quality value finder looks for 4 points on spreads, right? So if you go here, you'll see 4 points for spreads is the threshold. You need to have at least above 4. And then totals, we look for 1 extra point to have that extra little bit of agreement, because totals rely on multiple teams and not just one team outperforming another, but actually on the total number of baskets scored. You can get into some of the math on all that good stuff. The team totals, the individual team totals. Oh, interesting. So we don't necessarily recommend those bets, right? It's not like something that we include in our plays, but if you were to use the model that way, if you wanted to, like, let's say, okay, you really like this Drake team. I don't know what their line is, but like, let's say it was 70 points tomorrow, which I'm guessing is probably pretty close. We have 9.2 points of value on their over for the game against Mo State. But let's say it was at like 68 tomorrow. Yeah, I would probably feel pretty comfortable around that same 4.5, 5 points of difference, maybe 3 even. Should be pretty good. Yeah. I like those alt team totals. I definitely think it's an interesting way to get into untapped markets. I mean, I think something that we all like about ShotQuality is it gives you like a really concrete view into teams that like nobody's watching. I mean, everyone, like not everyone, but a lot of people pay attention to ACC basketball. How many people pay attention to Bradley versus Indiana State? How many people pay attention to, American Lafayette? Not that many. A little bit of a more lenient market, and ShotQuality allows us to get into the weeds with a little bit more data to back us up. So no, really great question. Thank you. We will talk a little bit more about the premium tools, and then we're just going to get out of here around 8. So about 15 minutes left here. The matchup breakdowns, these are now the tools that have been on the site for a little while. The matchup breakdowns are pretty cool. Gives you the whole look on how the shot quality data lines up for the matchup at question. right? So what's really interesting here is that you have a bunch of different teams. Hold on one second. Sorry. Interesting. Anyway, sorry about that. But what you have here is the ability to line up any teams. This is the LSU Auburn game for tonight. And again, my dang logos aren't loading on Safari. I don't know why. I should have done this in Chrome. But you essentially get to see how the offensive and the defensive stats line up. So this is built to essentially bring you that old-fashioned Ken Pom, Hasla, Torvik matchup, like, clash where you see one team's offense, the other team's defense. All right, let's find ways that one team's going to be good, the other team isn't. Like right here, you're going to see like for what? This is Auburn. No, this is LSU. It's damn logos. This is LSU, who is not doing very well on the catch and shoot three, but you can see very easily the frequency. They don't do it too much, but for Auburn, they actually defend it very well. So if you're expecting LSU to need 3-point shooting to get through Auburn, you might very quickly lean, okay, I'm not really going to bet on that. So it allows you to kind of get into the weeds a little bit, see all the relevant data. I'll just highlight my favorite stat in everything that ShotQuality does. My favorite stat is shot selection. It's just so pure. Pairing it with shot making, just look at essentially how this has been working for Auburn. Auburn's defense allows the 76th percentile shot selection. So they're letting guys get good looks. 290 teams allow, I guess, play better on defense, right? Have better, when you say better, it means like worse shot selection allowed. But the shot making that Auburn, they don't allow anybody, like the shot makers against them haven't been very good. So you can essentially look at this and be like, okay, Auburn's letting people get good shots, but essentially nobody's making them. So that's how that maybe they're overvalued, and maybe the ShotQuality record over here indicates that too, and it does. 10-7, 7-10 against the spread for Auburn, expected to be 5-12 against the spread, 24.49 record luck. So yeah, expected to be 10-7 on the season. Auburn has been getting lucky. And this page lets you very quickly not only analyze that through those metrics, but then also, again, looking at shot type stats, a lot of other good stuff on here. Available for every single game, populated for the upcoming games of the day. So, and then of course you can customize any matchup you want. So, if you want to see how, I don't know, let's say Purdue decided to host IUPUI. Yeah, that'd be funny, right? They would be expected to win by 40. And that's about right. I would expect the line to probably come in even bigger, probably like 44, 45 for a game like this. But you can create a custom matchup. You can have fun with your friends. You can go laugh at how bad IUPUI is. All of this is there, very accessible. This is, again, a premium tool, as is everything in this dropdown, except for the sandbox for the next 2 weeks, which is, great reason to have some fun with ShotQuality through January while we're in the beginning of conference play. And honestly, the markets are great right now. It's been a good month for ShotQuality. It's been a good month for me. Better than the beginning of the season, goddamn. But all right, 2 more tools here that I want to talk about. The scores page is pretty straightforward. This is essentially our scoreboard from the day before. A little different than model results, which we talked about at the top of the hour. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, you can go back. If you are on Twitter, you can go watch the YouTube. If you're in the chat and you missed the first half, it's all there. You can look at it all on Twitter. But essentially what this page does is it lists out every single game, who won. So here we have the Charleston versus William & Mary game. All right, Charleston won 82-54, and it was expected to be 82-54. So you can see the ShotQuality result right there. And we'll scroll and we can find one here. Yeah, look, Eastern Washington won 64-57, but the Montana Grizz were expected to win 66-53. So you can see that for every single game. You can also go forward on the calendar on this page and see the future projected scores. So like, let's say you're interested in like January 31st. I don't know why January 31st, but like this is the place on the site where you can go further ahead to see projected scores as well. And you're not just limited. The Value Finder only gives you like a day in advance at most, but premium members can see every game, every day, the rest of the season. Start making your plans now. Compare them to the expected lines on KenPom. Get ready to place your overnight bets, like whatever you want to do. And of course, you can always export to CSV here, search by team and conference, pick a date. So like, let's say you're like, oh, I'm not busy on this day, so let me see what's going on. All right, Valentine's Day, we're going to be watching Air Force Utah State. That's love right there, baby. But no, so a very powerful tool. People really do seem to like the shot quality scores, and again, those are really important because they are the score based on the shots taken, not necessarily what goes on the floor. Very nice here. If you click on a game page from the scores page, if it hasn't happened yet, it'll bring you to, oh, look, the logo is actually loaded today, guys. But it'll bring you to the page for that game. And of course, if the game has already happened, it'll bring you to a past game page, which breaks down some of the luck descriptions. These are also premium pages. So these are some of our most important breakdowns. All right, here's the Siena Canisius game. Canisius won by 4, but if you look at the shot quality score, Siena was expected to win 72-62, win by 10. Canisius actually had a terrible shot quality points per possession rank in that game and got very, very lucky. Kind of interesting to see, but that can help you handicap, right? So a couple other things. We have team pages while we're here. These just give you a look at the single team. And these can be used in conjunction with the matchup breakdowns, show you the future games for that team. So you can see Canisius really only expected to beat Manhattan the whole rest of the season. I'm going to go ahead and guess that they're going to get more than one win. That's just my personal guess. It's probably going to be pretty hard for St. Peter's to travel to Buffalo. It's going to be a tough trip for even Quinnipiac to get there. And yeah, Manhattan, I think they'll beat by more than 2. But I like this Canisius team. They're fun. But nonetheless, we'll talk about one more tool, maybe my favorite. That's saying a lot because that model sandbox is freaking cool. But this tool just allows you to profile shot quality data quickly and effectively and actually like see into how teams are playing in different splits. And I don't know, I've always liked splits. I think they're pretty important. I handicap a lot of baseball in the summer, so splits kind of go hand in hand with my thinking methodology. So I made sure we built this. The trend finder allows you to select any team or any conference. We'll start with a team. Let's go with like Furman, right? Pulls up their record. They're 10-6 on the money line. Shot quality agrees, 10-6. But now look at the ATS. They're 7-9. Shot quality says they're overperforming on the ATS 5-11, and it shows you the same thing for the over/under. So Furman games are going over more than expected, right? 4 more times right now. And then, but what's really fun about this is that you can start to really dial it in. On the neutral court, they went 1-3 to the over, and they were expected to go 0-4. You can see every single occurrence. Here's all 4 of Furman's neutral games right here in front of you, like a snap of the finger. And you can see, all right, here's a loss here by 2.5 to Penn State. They were at a neutral court playing Penn State. Shot quality said that they should have won this game, which meant they should have covered. Right, and it shows you, all right, the shot quality score said it went under by 9.2, but the actual score went under by 5. So very quickly, you can profile teams here. If you leave the team blank, you can even go as far as saying, okay, let's look at the Big 12. Right, let's say Big 12 home teams, right, in conference play where they are the favorite. So you can just drag and drop. Look at that. Home conference teams in the Big 12 are 6-14. And here's every single occurrence so far. Right in front of your face. And easily, we just jump right into that Texas game. We can break down that game, see what's going on. You can't necessarily get back to the trend finder super easily. It's going to go right back to that Louisville default. We have to install some memory on that. But again, some really cool trends. I would just recommend, like, you know, if you're going to do something like that, like if you want to know, all right, let's say, how is the Ivy League doing in away teams in the conference when, you know, the total is above 140, you know, you might just want to open these with a command click so that you can save your search, right? So These are really great tools. This one really has a lot of potential to it. You can sort of very easily see, all right, teams in this scenario. Look, the conference stuff's a little difficult, but in terms of how a team plays, you want to see Central Connecticut. They're not exactly the best team here, but when they get, a low total, let's say they get a total under 130, what happens? All right, here's the games where they've had low totals. This one went over by 37. This one went under by 23. And this one almost hit the line. So you can see there's a lot of variance around that. Maybe that makes you not bet they're under 128 in their upcoming game. I don't know, So those are all here. But we're getting in close on this hour. I just wanted to again thank you all for coming out tonight, whether you're on the YouTube, whether you're in the Google Meet here hanging out. We got like a bunch of people here still, 19 of you guys all hanging. Really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting ShotQuality Bets. Thank you for being interested in this next wave. Are you really quick? Tyler hitting us with a good one. Are you able to view opening lines versus closing lines in the trend finder? No, this is a closing line tool. Eventually we might be able to install opening lines, but again, that's a little bit, kind of finicky sometimes and can be tough. There's usually a lot more agreement on closing lines, and it's also a lot easier for us to record with some definitive measure. But good bit of feedback. We'll be sending you guys all a really great Google form that yours truly designed. So if the questions look a little sloppy, I'm sorry. Every single person who fills out this Google form will be getting a code that will be good on their next purchase. You might need to cancel your subscription and then start it up again to use it is how it would work if you're still here. But we'll be very clear about that in the email that you all get after the session is over. That gives you the form. Just fill it out, include your email, be as honest as you can, guys. Like literally, we want to hear how you, the people who spent your Tuesday night hanging with me, what you guys want to see out of ShotQuality, what matters to you, what you think is going to matter to your friends. Like what we want ShotQuality to take over gambling at the end of the day. And we know that it can, because this data is some of the best out there. People don't have access to this level of analytics that cuts through this recency bias, that doesn't overreact to Tennessee losing to Kentucky on their home floor, right? You can't overreact. ShotQuality lets you see things through that type of that variance, that luck that defines college basketball. And so again, we really appreciate you all being here. Myself, Alec, the whole ShotQuality Bets team. We look forward to hearing from all of you. Please, if you ever have questions, you can reach out to me directly. You can reach out to us on Twitter. We got the form right there. Hey, Octavio, appreciate you guys, everyone out here, man. It is a pleasure to do this. It is a pleasure to be out here talking about college basketball betting as something to do for my job. So I just appreciate you all, Alec, you too, for setting this up. We will see you all next time when we have new tools, when we have new bits of information, when new stuff comes out. Ooh, interesting. I got to change permissions. We'll do that. We'll get it out. Sorry about that. I should have known that was going to happen, but I was rushing. Yeah, so we didn't email to 100 people who all got upset with us. But hey, really appreciate everyone out there who makes the college basketball betting community as cool as it is. Like, I'm going to go degen some scores. Hopefully I didn't miss too much and catch the end of some of these bigger games. I will be tweeting out plays for free the rest of the year. As long as I'm at ShotQuality, my takes will always be available. That's the best part about it. No more paywalls, none of that. The data, though, that is worth the money. That's why I'm here. I fully believe in it. I would never recommend something that isn't worth it. And look, the model results speak for themselves. The tools are unlike anything else out there. And hey, if we get everything we want done, we might be talking about NBA in about a month. So that's in that questionnaire that we will unlock. So if you're interested in NBA, please let us know. We are definitely trying to build that out. But again, thank you all so much for hanging. I'm going to cut the YouTube stream, and I'm going to dip out of the Google chat. thank you all again, and I will talk to you all soon. Hit me up on Twitter. I appreciate you all chilling with me tonight. Thanks so much. Peace.